Couple of roster moves made this week by the Minnesota Vikings. We'll talk about those two in particular, one with adding a safety, the other with cutting a kicker, which I've been very uneasy about from the get-go, from draft night, or at least day 2 or 3 of the draft, when the Vikings traded up to take Daniel Carlson in the 5th round. Mediokr, best sports podcast with Realistic Randy. Thank you for tuning in. First, we're going to start with the Minnesota Vikings signing George Iloka, who previously played under head coach Mike Zimmer back when he was a defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's very familiar with him. And my first reaction to this was I really didn't understand what the long game here was with this, because you've got Andrew Sendejo, you got Harrison Smith. Obviously, Harrison Smith, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Whether it's first ballot or not, that's a whole argument for another day, but he's going to be a Hall of Famer. As far as Andrew Sendejo, he's coming off of his best year last year. So I was thinking, and you got Anthony Harris as well behind Andrew Sendejo in case he goes down, who's been pretty good in this preseason. I thought he was relatively decent last year in the times that he played. So I was like, I don't really understand the long game here with this, except I thought about it a little bit more, and here's what I came up with. I can't help but think that with this signing, maybe Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, they're laying the groundwork for 2019. And especially if you're Rick Spielman, if you're a GM, you always have to think, you can't just necessarily, yes, you're worried about this year, you want to win a championship every single year. You got to be focused on this present year, but you also need to think about the future as well. That's part of your job. And I can't help but think that maybe this is laying the groundwork for 2019, because look, because of Kirk Cousins, that $84 million guaranteed contract that he has, you're going to have to, and with all these other high-profile players that you're going to be paying, Stephon Diggs with his new contract, Eric Kendricks, Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, they're all getting big contracts. You have to be thinking fiscally, what can you do? What type of casualties, if you will, can you spare for the cap? Now, as far as Andrew Sendejo goes, look, there was a point in time where Andrew Sendejo was a punching bag, much like Trey Waynes is right now. There was a point in time where Andrew Sendejo was like, oh my God, Harrison Smith, he's so great. Can we just find some safety other than Andrew Sendejo? Because up until last year and maybe even halfway the year before in 2016, you could say, you know what, just get somebody to replace this dude. He's okay, but he doesn't really pop out. He doesn't really knock your socks off on the football field. But last year, I thought he made big strides. I thought he was a low-key MVP for this defensive unit last year. But if we're being honest, look, Andrew Sendejo this year, he's going to be 30 years old. Going into 2019, he's going to be 31. In 2019, his contract is right now for this year, he's making just under $3.5 million for this year. Going into 2019, he's scheduled to make $5.5 million, just under $5.5 million. Now, if they cut Andrew Sendejo because of his age and because of that cap hit going into 2019, there's not going to be any type of repercussions or penalties on the cap. They can cut him without any penalties whatsoever, whereas George Iloka, he is, how old is this dude? This dude, going into this year, he's going to be 28 years old. Now, going into 2019, he'll be 29, but there's a little bit of a youth factor there. George Iloka is 2 years younger than Andrew Sendejo. So I can't help but wonder if that's what it is that they're doing. And George Iloka, look, he loves Mike Zimmer. I can't help but think that with the relationship that George Iloka has with Mike Zimmer and that he's so fond of him, I can't help but that gives a little bit of leverage to the Minnesota Vikings. Whereas, okay, instead of paying Andrew Sendejo $5.5 million in 2019, maybe you can spare $3.5 million and save $2 million or maybe $2.5 million, whatever, by signing George Iloka, much similar to the early years of Andrew Sendejo's current contract. Back when he was making, last year he made just under $3 million. This year he's going to make $3.5 million. So if you can sign George Iloka next year for $3.5 million, every little bit of savings count. And then not only that, moving forward from him, a couple other players I'm going to mention, Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph, this year he's going to make $6 million. Next year, 2019, he's scheduled to make just under $7.5 million. Now, they can cut him. If they were to cut him this year, and I'm getting all this information from Spotrac.com. It's a really good website. They break everything into details. Now, if they were to cut him this year, obviously they're not going to do that. But if they were to cut Kyle Rudolph this year, there would be a cap hit of $1.5 million, 1.4 to be exact. Now, going into 2019, you can cut him, and there's no cap casualty from that. Now, my thing is they're probably going to restructure because you don't necessarily want to let Kyle Rudolph go unless you have a legitimate replacement. I know people like David Morgan. Could he be that guy? I don't know. But here's the thing I'm going to say about Kyle Rudolph. Every year, this dude has all the hype surrounding him. Oh, Kyle Rudolph, he's so great. He's amazing. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. I would agree he's in that tier 2.5, tier 3 mark as far as tight ends concerned. Here's my issue with Kyle Rudolph. He's really good at catching. I give him that. Route running leading up to the catch, give him that. Solid work as far as the tight end. Now, after that, my problem with, if you look, and I said this on the Skull Weekly podcast, if you're talking about a tight end, an upper echelon tight end, I need a little bit more than just running routes and catching the ball. Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, they get the ball. It takes everything to bring them down. They're big, strong dudes. Now, okay, maybe it's unfair to say, well, he's not that guy. Okay, fine. Zach Ertz, for instance, he's not that guy. In fact, I would say Zach Ertz and Kyle Rudolph, they're very similar in the fact that, look, whether it's Zach Ertz or Kyle Rudolph, if you just tap them on the shoulder, they'll fall down. That's it. As soon as they get the ball, if someone makes contact with them, they're going down, no resistance whatsoever. Where Zach Ertz gets the nod above Kyle Rudolph for me is that once Zach Ertz gets the ball, he shifts. He's got a powerful running motion after that. He runs like a running back or an explosive wide receiver. He's got a very powerful stride, knees to chest, if you will. Whereas Kyle Rudolph, look up any highlight on YouTube of Kyle Rudolph and watch when he gets the ball and he's wide open. When he catches the ball and he starts running, it's almost like he's running high, no explosiveness in his run. And those little things, like you said, any given Sunday, Al Pacino, the game is all about inches. Well, you know what? Those little things as far as can you run powerful, can you get a little bit more explosiveness in your running motion, those are the things that will determine whether you get more yards after the catch. And Kyle Rudolph, he gets the ball, and I'm telling you, it's almost like he's not crouching down, he's not running knees to chest, he's almost like high up and just, top of the morning to you, sir. And it's just like, oh my God. And everybody's defensive linemen are catching up to him. It's like, dude, come on, is that the fastest that you can run? But anyway, they're going to have to restructure that contract going into 2019. Again, you're going to have to pay Adam Thielen a ton, at least to match somewhat what Stephon Diggs is getting right now. So you're going to have to think about that. And the third player is Latavius Murray. So Latavius Murray in 2019 is scheduled to make $4.5 million. Okay, so they're not going to pay him for that. The Vikings aren't. They're probably going to cut him. Now you got Rock Thomas and Mike Boone. Are they going to be the RB2 and 3 spot going into 2019? We'll have to see. But anyway, that's what you're going to have to look at. And I think this George Iloka signing, he's been a pretty good player. He understands Mike Zimmer, which is a plus. Terrence Newman, he came in, and he's been kicking ass at, 45,000 years old as a cornerback. So the fact that he knows Mike Zimmer's system, he knows what to expect from him, I think that's a huge value. And I think it could play into the Minnesota Vikings leverage going into contract negotiations for 2019. So that I found that a little bit interesting. I know there's been talks on the Facebook page when I gave my take on it. A couple of people say, are they going to use Andrew Sandale as a trade package for an offensive lineman? I say, look, they're going to have to do something as far as addressing at least the left guard spot for Nick Easton's spot to try to replace that. You're going to need an offensive line to protect Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is not elusive around the pocket like Case Keenum was last year. You're really, really going to have to protect him, but that's neither here nor there. Other than that, the next roster move, or the roster move before signing free safety George Iloka, the Minnesota Vikings, to no surprise, they cut Kai Forbath and guaranteed the spot of the place kicker for the Vikings to Daniel Carlson, who they trade up, I believe, in the 5th round to draft Daniel Carlson out of Auburn. Now, my thing is with that, the writing's been on the wall. We all knew that this was going to happen. This whole facade or charade of just, well, it's going to be a kicking competition. No, it wasn't. Daniel Carlson was going to be the guy. And to his credit, he's looked really good in preseason. I don't think he's missed a kick all preseason long, but it's preseason. Going into the regular season, can he be relied upon? This is a young dude, a rookie that's coming in and had the red carpet laid out for him. This dude knows he's got the job. And across the league, you've seen kickers that come in. And I bring these two dudes up all the time. Roberto Aguayo for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe he's with he's either with the Chicago Bears or the San Diego Chargers. The LA Chargers, I can't remember. And then Young Ho Koo, I believe his name was. He used to play for the Chargers. And they come in, they get boot for a leg. And in Roberto Aguayo's case was the all-time college football leader in kicks, whatever it is. And they came into the NFL and they weren't that great at all. And not only were they not that great, they were awful. They got booted out of the league, or at least from their initial teams. And so I think this was so unnecessary. This was so unnecessary. I know people love to just pick on Kai Forbath, but the dude can make kicks when you really need. I, honest to God, can't think of one game where I said, wow, we lost this game because of Kai Forbath. Now, the kicker we had before that, you could say that several times for multiple games. But I believe with Kai Forbath, yes, he'll miss a kick, but you know what? He'll come back and he'll make that next one. I just thought this was so unnecessary. And this seems like that Daniel Carlson is the new quote-unquote guy for Rick Spielman. You know what I'm talking about. The guy for Rick Spielman. Christian Potter, Matt Khalil, Blair Walsh, Laquan Treadwell up until maybe this year. And now Daniel Carlson, where they could do no wrong and this is their team. And damn it, we're going to stick with these dudes to the bitter end until their contract runs out or until they become an utter embarrassment. This was so unnecessary to do. The fact that this dude, Kai Forbath, made that kick 53 freaking yards with just under a minute and a half left in the NFC divisional round going up against the New Orleans Saints. He made that kick leading up to the Minneapolis Miracle, and we're just saying, oh, no. We don't need that anymore. We're going to go out and get a kicker who's been a yo-yo of a kicker where he had a bad first year as a freshman, 2 good years as far as a sophomore and junior, and had a down year as a senior. You know who that is? Blair freaking Walsh. But anyway, it is what it is. We'll have to see how that plays out. I thought that was completely unnecessary, but it is what it is. You know what? If he's good, I'll shut the hell up. But in the preseason, to his credit, Daniel Carlson has looked very well. Before I get into a couple other players, former Vikings that are on different teams now, let me just say this about the Jaguars game. As far as the Jaguars game, my takeaway is, Kirk Cousins, he didn't look comfortable at all. That was a god-awful game from him. I thought the pass protection outside of play action, I thought they were actually pretty solid. And you know what? I need to give credit to Brian O'Neill and Mike Hughes. They both have been really good in the first 2 preseason games. I've never criticized any of those 2 players. I criticize making those picks for this year. Now, as far as well, you know what? Pro Football Focus has Brian O'Neill as not giving up any pressures and one of the top rookie linemen. And you know what? That's all well and good. You know what? Here's the thing. By all accounts, by all measures, look, Brian O'Neill, he needed to put on weight. Came in looking like a tight end, needed to get stronger. And the first depth chart that the Vikings released, Rashad Hill was listed as the #1 right tackle. Okay, so I don't want to hear. And look, we'll still have to see if he's going to start Brian O'Neill, if he's going to start going into this season. But so far, he's looked really good. But I don't want to hear enough. Well, you were wrong. The Vikings weren't even preparing for this dude to start. The only reason that Brian O'Neill's got snaps is because Rashad Hill was hurt. They didn't even freaking know it. So anyway, whatever. They looked really good, Mike Hughes and Brian O'Neill. And at this point, the only other comment I have on that Jaguars game, Eric Wilson needs to be the 3rd starting linebacker. I don't think there's anything else for him to prove. Eric Wilson should start ahead of Ben Gideon. And you know what? When you talk about this Vikings defense and the explosiveness that they have as far as the speedsters they've had, and especially the linebackers, I criticize Anthony Barr a lot, but when he's good, he's really, really good. He can go from sideline to sideline. His speed, his adjustment speed, he's really, really good at that. Eric Wilson, I'm sorry. Look, if we're going to trade Anthony Barr and people say, well, who's going to be the replacement? Eric Wilson, he shows everything out there that Anthony Barr does when he's on his game. Now, the thing that stuck out for me, there were two plays in this Jaguars game that stuck out for me with Eric Wilson. The first one, I believe it was in the second quarter, I believe. It was a play-action pass, if I'm not mistaken, I believe by Blake Bortles, and Eric Wilson went to go up. He thought it was going to be running play. When he realized it was a play-action, he went out and covered the running back out into the flat, out onto the left side for the offense, right side for the defense. And then what happened was this dude was like 3 or 4 yards from the line of scrimmage with the running back. Somehow, some way, I don't know if it was Niles Paul or a tight end for the Jaguars or a receiver, was wide open for a wide open catch for like 15, 16 yards away from the line of scrimmage. And this dude, Eric Wilson, went from that 3 or 4 yard line from the line of scrimmage all the way down to chasing that receiver or tight end and tackled him down. He covered for the mishaps of that safety. That's adjustment right there. That's speed right there. To be able to go from covering a running back from the flat to being able to turn around and chase down a tight end or a receiver, that's some fantastic stuff. And then the second thing, the play that really stuck out for me, he had a sack in that game, but it's everything that led up to the sack. There was a play-action pass, another play-action pass, where I don't know if it was Blake Bortles or who's their second quarterback, Cody Kessler, I can't remember. But anyway, play-action pass, Eric Wilson, he's coming off the left side as far as on the defensive side, right side for the offense. Coming off, has a clean shot at the quarterback and the running back, and now he's thinking it's going to be going to the running back, so his eyes are initially on the running back. Then when he realizes that it's a play action, the quarterback still has the ball, what happens is his hips are still square with the quarterback, but what happens is he adjusts his feet so he's not all over the place, because what happens is a quarterback will take advantage of it. They can roll out, scramble, and then make a play outside the pocket. Eric Wilson, he adjusted his feet to stay in front of the quarterback, and then in that time he needed to adjust his feet, he threw his arms up to throw the quarterback off, so that way he couldn't try to sneak a pass in and went down for that sack. Those types of adjustments and the speed he makes up for to cover that ground, it's invaluable. And Ben Gideon, he's solid as far as stopping the run, but I'm sorry, as far as stopping the run and making plays in the passing game and rushing the passer, Eric Wilson is that guy. He should be the third starting linebacker for this team. Now, a couple of other things. Two players in particular, I'm going to get into these NFL rule changes, or not even rule changes, these BS calls that they're making in the games now. And in fact, the Jaguars Vikings game, it was just raining flags from these officials, man. These it's not even the officials, it's the league, it's the competition committee. But anyway, before I get into that, two players that stepped up, and they're looking, well, not necessarily stepped up. One player stepped up, another player signed elsewhere. Teddy Bridgewater, former quarterback for the Vikings, he's looking really good this preseason. And it's to no surprise to me, my only thing was about that knee that he shredded 2 years ago. Can he go into this season, or can he play for another team? Can he play football again? Can he be an effective quarterback again with that knee? And he's looked really, really good, to no surprise to me. I've said in the offseason, as far as quarterbacks are concerned, I was all over. I was not all over, but I was done with Case Keenum, especially in that NFC Championship game in the second half of the Saints game. But my thing was, as far as quarterback options going into 2018, it was either Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, or damn it, if they missed out on both of them, I was ready to deliver the hottest ass take to say Vikings should trade up and take Josh Rosen. And by the way, all those teams, I'm not going to blame the Browns. Baker Mayfield, he could be good. But the New York Giants, the Buffalo Bills, you passed on Josh Rosen. The New York Giants in particular, you went the Adrian Peterson route where it's like, we got a quarterback, he's aging, but we're going to take Saquon Barkley. A running back, and granted, he could be the best running back in this class, but you still need a quarterback to take over for Eli Manning, the most important position in the league. And they should say, we don't care. We're going to take Saquon Barkley. I don't get it. They're going to rue the day that they did not take Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen is the best quarterback in that class, man. I'm telling you. This dude, I saw him in a game at Stanford, playing against Stanford with UCLA. And I'm talking about just NFL-style offenses, just snapping the ball. And I'm not talking about like those, not even read option, those where the NFL quarterbacks, or not NFL quarterbacks, those college quarterbacks, before they snap the ball, they clap. And then like they take the ball and they do these type of run design systems. Josh Rosen was literally snapping the ball, taking the ball, and boom, boom, boom. NFL throws all over the place. But anyway, I'm getting beside myself. The point is that I'm getting with this is that Teddy Bridgewater has looked really, really good. My thing is, people say, well, he do 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Look, people really ignore the fact, two major factors for Teddy Bridgewater and why he didn't have the greatest of stats. Number one, he played with a god-awful offensive line where Matt Khalil was his left tackle. By the way, I said that the Carolina Panthers at the time of the free agency signing for Matt Khalil, they were the biggest morons because you've got tape on this dude every single year. There's some sort of excuse. Oh, I've got my confidence back. I need an offensive line coach that demands excellent. And now I'm in a new community with my brother, Ryan Khalil, and I'm going to kick some ass. And he sucks right now. I know he's getting his knee looked at again. Dude, that dude is a bum. He's getting paid, what, $55 million by the Carolina Panthers? What the hell are you doing? Anyway, he had a god-awful offensive line. And then not only that, you had Norv Turner calling the most dinosaur offensive plays known to man, catering the offense to Adrian Peterson, a one-dimensional running back. This dude, I'm so sorry. If you had a decent offensive line and an offensive coordinator that was at least designing plays for your quarterback, the most important position in the entire National Football freaking league, Teddy Bridgewater would have had better stats. But he did what he had to do with the calls that he got for him, and he made the plays that are necessary, man. Now that he's at least got okay protection with the New York Jets as far as the second and third string units, and, he's getting plays called for him specifically for his strengths, he's looking good. So it should be no surprise. And you know what? Here's the thing. I want to see this dude succeed, all right? I don't give a damn. And there were actually Vikings fans that were arguing with me like, oh, Teddy's trash. And now he's looking good. Look, I don't care. I want this dude to succeed no matter where he goes. Whether it's to the New York Jets, here's a hot take for you. I think he's going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're going to make a trade. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're looking for any reason to get out of that PR nightmare that is known as Jameis Winston. They're going to cut this dude after next year. I believe this is his fourth year. They're not going to sign him to that fifth-year option. If I'm not mistaken, this is his fourth year. But anyway, they're looking, and Teddy Bridgewater is the polar opposite of Jameis Winston. He really, really is. But anyway, no matter where he goes, whether it's the Jets, the Buccaneers, the Jaguars, Blake Bortles is god-awful. He's trash. I don't know how he's still starting quarterback. No matter where it is that Teddy Bridgewater goes, I need you to understand something. That's my teammate. That's my quarterback. That's my man, all right? Teddy Bridgewater, shout out to you for doing your thing. Now, the other guy, former Vikings player, that made news this week, Adrian Peterson. Now, Adrian Peterson, he signed with the Washington Redskins on what? Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was. He met with them on Monday and signed, I believe, that same day on Monday. But anyway, here's my thing. I've been very critical of Adrian Peterson and, just the way that he left. And his agent, I forgot his agent's name. He's a jackass going out there. Oh, he doesn't need to go back to Minnesota. And it was really uneasy. He kind of really just tarnished his legacy with the Vikings, in my opinion. Maybe over time he can kind of build that back up. But with the Washington Redskins, is Adrian Peterson an efficient running back? No. Should he be utilized? No. But here's what I'm going to say about Adrian Peterson right now for this year. I don't think it's out the realm of possibility, and you can make fun of me all you want. I don't think it's out the realm of possibility for Adrian Peterson to have a pretty good year this year. I don't think it's out of I don't think it's mind-boggling to think that Adrian Peterson can get at least 1,000 yards, maybe best case scenario, 1,100 to 1,200 yards. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. Well, what are you talking about? Number one, the Washington Redskins, they've got Alex Smith as their quarterback, okay? Mr. Game Manager personified, Mr. Check Down quarterback himself. Now, here's what I'm going to say about Alex Smith. When he's got Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and Travis Kelce as his weapons to make more yards after the catch and make him look a little bit better, elevate the Alex Smith game of play, look, Alex Smith, he looks pretty good. But here's what I'm going to say about the Washington Redskins. Number one, Alex Smith is their quarterback. I think honestly, the Washington Redskins, I think they're going to be a very run-heavy team compared to the rest of the league. Now, as far as let's look at their depth chart right now. As far as wide receivers are concerned, their wide receivers, according to Redskins.com, this is their official website. Josh Doctson is the number one receiver, followed by Jamison Crowder and Paul Richardson Jr. Now, they've got Jordan Reed, but he's hurt half the time. He's a really good tight end. Can he stay healthy? We'll have to see. But outside of that, there's no Tyreek Hill there. There's none of that there, and all their running backs are hurt. All right, so Adrian Peterson, as of right now, he's the best running back that the Redskins have. Now, because of that, I think this is going to be a situation where they're going to be a heavy running team, whereas they're going to need Adrian Peterson or whoever their running backs are to set up third down or second and short for Alex Smith to not make any mistakes, just make the right play, because that's just the type of quarterback that Alex Smith is. And quite honestly, I did the math on this. If Adrian Peterson is going to get 1,100 yards, he needs to average 69 yards rushing per game. Is that out the realm? If Adrian Peterson gets, 16, maybe 7 yards or 17 carries, is it out the realm of possibility that he can get 69 yards a game? No, I don't think it is, because that offense was going to be crap no matter who was going to be running back before the injuries happened. Okay, there's no Tyreek Hill. Jordan Reed's good. He's not Travis Kelce good, and he's hurt half the time. And he doesn't have Kareem Hunt. He's got Adrian Peterson now. I think Adrian Peterson, he's going to have the year that he's been looking for, saying that I can still prove it. Is he going to be efficient? No. The Redskins, are they going to make play? Josh Doctson, Jamison Crowder, and Paul Richardson Jr. That's all you need to know. I think they're going to be a very basic, very conservative offense. I think Adrian Peterson could have a pretty good year. Now, last thing I'm going to talk about, these rules, man. These NFL rules. Now, 2 rules in particular. The Aaron Rodgers rule, where after the Anthony Barr hit, we need to just change all the rules. And you know what? You know what's crazy about this? I get the fact that you're trying to protect the players. You're trying to, keep it. And in specific to Aaron Rodgers, they're trying to keep their marquee players healthy, because that's what drives up the ratings. It doesn't help if Brett Hundley is your quarterback. But, okay. The Minnesota Vikings, they've gone back-to-back years where their starting quarterback has been out for basically the entire year. Last year, Sam Bradford played 1.5 games. He was out for the year. The year before that, Teddy Bridgewater got hurt in camp. He was out for the year. They didn't want to make any changes from there. Dude, this is football. All right? This is freaking football. Now we're talking about you can't land on the quarterback with all your body weight. That sack by Antoine Williams was a marquee, just a routine tackle, a routine sack. And why the hell are these offensive players, why the hell are these quarterbacks getting rewarded because their right tackle stinks or their offensive line stinks, and the defensive players, they're making a routine? Antoine Williams, he didn't have his full body weight on him. He did half his body was in the plank position on the ground. And we throw a flag out. We're getting to a point. You might as well make it flag football. You might as well do it, damn it. It's just interesting. Dudes get hurt every single year. Dudes get hurt. Andrew Luck, he's been hurt, for a year and a half, right? Sam Bradford was out. Teddy Bridgewater was out. Dudes get hurt all the time. But, Aaron Rodgers, he gets hurt, and we need to flip the whole world upside down. Are we serious? Man, get this weak-ass shit out of here. No, I can say that. I don't have, you know what? YouTube, they've got these new requirements. In order for me to get paid on this thing, I need to have at least 1,000 subscribers. And by the way, if you like this podcast, subscribe to the podcast. But anyway, the next type of rule is the helmet rule, right? Lowering the helmet. There was a play where C.J. Ham and Bouye from the Jaguars collided. And it was initially C.J. Ham that lowered his helmet before Bouye did. And they threw, they threw the flag on Bouye. And I'm a Vikings fan too, but I'm objective as hell. That wasn't a flag. That was BS. I was like, are you serious right now? We're throwing flags every other play now, just delaying the game, just sitting there. I just don't understand it, because, number one, again, I get that you're trying to protect the players, but it's football. Dude's going to get hurt. It's part of the game. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. And if you're Bouye, or if you're any other defender, what are you supposed to do? If C.J. Ham or a running back lowers their helmet, you're supposed to take the helmet to the gut or to the knees and just take it? What are you talking? It's a natural reaction. All right? I'm sorry. Think about it this way. Let's say you're a safety right now, right? You're a safety. You're playing against the New England Patriots. Tom Brady snaps the ball, throws the ball across the middle to Rob Gronkowski. That 6'6" dude, whatever, 240-something pounder, however big he is. It's a big-ass dude, right? Going across the middle, slant route, post route, whatever. Or you're the safety. You're coming up on him, right? Now, the most efficient way to tackle him without hurting yourself is to go low. You're naturally going to lower your helmet. You're not necessarily going to initiate with the helmet. You're going to initiate with your shoulder, right? That's your natural reaction. Because if you stand up high and try to go toe-to-toe with Rob Gronkowski, he's going to blow you over. He's going to knock you down, truck stick, game over, touchdown, right? So you're going to naturally do that. And that's a flag, too. We're in a league now where we already didn't know what a catch was. But not only do we not know what a catch is, we don't know what a tackle is anymore. Get this weak-ass shit out of this crap. I'm sorry. And now you've got the XFL, the CFL, these other leagues where it's like, you know what? I might as well try to watch some real football. I'm still going to watch the NFL. Don't get it twisted. But these owners, the competition committee, they are morons. They are the dumbest people in the entire. The NFL is successful in spite of these morons. They get into the table, into the not the press conference. They go into board meetings every offseason. They say, what can we do to screw this up and be as dumb? And people evaluate this. They looked at this and they said, this is a great idea. This is going to work. This is stupid. You're going to cost teams games. You're going to cost them playoff spots. We saw the Jesse James catch last year, right? That could have sent the Steelers to the number 1 seed. They went down to number 2. I just think this is absolutely dumb. We'll have to see how this plays out, but from everything what I've seen, the NFL is standing pat on it. They're going to stick with the helmet initiation rule. But the thing is, like with the C.J. Ham and Bouye play, let it happen. Let it play. Now, with college football, I will say this. If you wanted to stop helmet initiation plays, I would say the fouls that they have in college football, one particular targeting rule, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of that call. I think it's a great rule. I think it is. There's a lot of dirty players in the sport of football. I've seen dudes that will just like lower their helmets and then launch themselves to the receiver with the crown of their helmet. Just dirty ass plays, all right? Those types of plays you need to rule out. But a routine play where a running back or a tight end or whoever the hell else, they're bracing for a hit, so they're trying to protect. It's just a natural reaction. It's a natural. There's nothing you can do. Lower themselves, and then naturally the defender's like, okay, I'm going to lower too because this dude's a wrecking ball coming at me. If I stand up high, he's going to roll over. What are they supposed to do? These owners, the competition committee, they're absolute morons. So anyway, we do this once a week. Mediokr Best Sports Podcast. Also doing the Skull Weekly podcast with Sean Kenner, SK of the Skull Report. Subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and iTunes. We'll see you next week.